Hi guys, welcome to Big Sister. Hope you are enjoying your day today, guys. So today we're going to be talking about, this is for the young ladies, we're going to be talking about the proper way to use a sanitary pad, guys. Pads, okay? Women every month, young girls, you're going to be having a cycle every month. This is your egg that is leaving your fallopian tube. It's unfertilized, meaning okay, it drops every month. If you were, this simply means that you can have children. That's what a period means. It means your eggs are now ready to be fertilized. Whenever the egg is not fertilized, it's going to drop a period every month. That is why if you do get pregnant, you do not have a period, because now there's an egg that's fertilized and you're preparing for childbirth. So in this video, I'm going to be talking with you guys about the proper way to put on a pad. Now, sometimes guys, you will have a few things that can happen. The very first time you may have a period, you may not be prepared for it, okay? So you may have to do something really quick and kind of protect yourself. What I would tell you is that if you're between the ages, if you're a certain age, like for my daughter, once she reaches a certain age, well, I'm already talking to her about what a period is, but at a certain point, I'm going to have her just have a pad in her backpack just in case that day happens and I'm not with her or she's not home, okay? So it's probably good to have that. But in cases where you don't have that, then what you can do is quickly go to the bathroom and get some tissue and roll a good amount up, not too bulky, but just thick enough to just place it down in the center of your underwears, pull that up and get yourself home. Hopefully you haven't stained your clothes, because then of course you need to go home. Hopefully you have a jacket to protect yourself. But anyway, that will be your very first period. Is going to be very different. A lot of times it's not going to be bright red, but a dark brown color. You're going to be like, well, what happened? But that's a sign of your period. It's normally not, it could be different for different people, but it's normally not flowing in red as it will get eventually when you start to have them more frequently. But your first cycle is normally going to be sort of dark brown and maybe get a bit of red. You're going to have something that's more maroon than red. Again, it depends on the individuals. So there are different things that people use for their period. There's a pad, and then some people use tampons. People like to use tampons because, you know, sometimes they don't like the feeling of a pad, and they can still get to do certain things, like you could still go swimming and all these things. Some people want to wear this cute outfit, they're going on this date, they may be on vacation, and it happens, and they use tampons for those reasons. I personally do not use tampons. I have used them before. I've been on vacation and stuff like that, and then your cycle comes unexpectedly and it's just not convenient. So tampons will help you with that. However, you must be very careful to be changing your tampons frequently and not to forget it. Sometimes people will forget they have a tampon in and they're having sexual intercourse and the tampon gets lost, or they just forget it's there, and this can lead to something called toxic shock that is very dangerous and even fatal. So I'm going to talk with you today about a pad. Okay, back in the days, pads were very thick and bulky. Now they are different. They're thin. They even have different sizes of pads. You know, the smaller you are, I guess the smaller and the shorter your pad will be. The larger your frame, then the thicker, I believe, the wider, not thicker, but the wider and longer that pad will be. Sometimes it doesn't matter what your size. Sometimes your flow might be heavier, so you may need longer pads just to protect you on all sides. So this is one particular brand that I use, and I'm going to share it with you guys, and I'm going to talk to you all about this. It doesn't have to be this brand, because basically the way you put a pad on is pretty much going to be the same regardless of the brand. Okay, so when you open up your pad, this is going to be here. I already popped it open so it's loose, but it's normally going to have a little stick to it. You're going to open it up, and you see here, now it's folded, okay? It could be smaller, shorter, but depending on how much protection you want, you definitely want to get what's right. And if you look, you're going to see that this pad has something that's sort of a texture, and this is what they call a dry weave. And what it does is it takes the wetness away from you, absorbs it, and separates you from the wetness, okay? So that you're not just, you know, pads of old was just cotton and it just sits on the top and you just feel everything. They have now come up with this, all right? So, and then it also has these two flaps to go over on each side to protect. These are like wings, okay, to protect you on the side. So ultimately a pad, you want it to protect you at the front, in the back, and on the sides, okay? In the old times, they didn't have wings. It was just one long thing, and so if anything spilled out on the sides, then it will get on your underwears, and worst case scenario, get on your clothes. So what you want to do, guys, I'm using some swim trunks for this. Let's say these were underwears, because I was not about to be bringing any underwears out here. Sorry. So we're gonna look at some swim trunks, okay? These are old, but, and so what you're gonna do, what you wanna do is like, you wanna put your stuff on the center. We're gonna do the inside, okay? We have a bit of loose thread here. That's how old these are, but that's okay. So when you do open up your pad, you open it this way. You can already tell, or should be able to tell, this is a part that goes to the front. If you need a clue, look at the words. The words for this is just, the words are this way. So that means this is your front, and then this is your back. And you're going to be able to tell the difference from the front to the back. In my opinion, you can tell because the front is more slender, while the back kind of widens a little more, and it does that to get you the ultimate protection. So then it has a tacky back, and what you want to do is, while you would not put on, you need to be in your underwears already, okay? So you're going to have way more control than what I have here, but I'm showing you for example. So if you're in your underwears already, you probably have it around your leg somewhere, and what you're going to do is you're going to place the very center of this pad on the very center, the very middle of your underwears. You're gonna press down the front, press down the back. Again, it will be more centered because you're gonna have it on, but you want everything to be taped down or tacked down. It's going to be very easy to do, but just remember, center of your underwears. Then what you're going to do, you're going to pull this part off, and what you're going to do, it's going to be a little difficult because again, I'm not in these. You're going to get the sides and you're going to bring it over, and you're going to flap, you're going to seal it down on the side. You're going to do the same thing over here. Again, if you were actually in it, this will go smoother. Okay, so now you have your front, your back, you pull everything up. Okay, it would look a lot more neater, but this is what it's going to be. And then on the flip side, you have these. Again, aesthetically, it's weird because I'm doing it with some loose stuff on, and it's not ideal, but I accidentally flipped this. I didn't bring this part over as perfectly as it should, but just imagine it was all perfect, right? And all smooth. So the underside of here is what would be in your pants per se, and it's just here to keep your pad in place. And as you notice, it has the dry weave on this side as well, because it's absorbing everything, but very rarely will it get here. So now when you're having your cycle, it's dead center, everything will be absorbed in this area, and that's how you have your protection. Now, I always suggest changing your pad about 4 to 5 times in a day. And how you're going to remove this, again, you just undo the underside, the tacky side, or this is just under, it will be a lot neater, okay, because you'll have it on, you'll have more control. And let's put this here for now. And what you'll do is when you take it off, okay, you're just gonna roll it up like that. And because you're most likely going to be changing into another pad, you will have this. And what you do, you just put it in. And just discard it. You're going to always have this wrapper, because when you're changing your very first pad that you put on, you'll end up throwing this away. But when you're changing again, you open up your new pad, you're gonna have a wrapper to put the used one in. And guys, you cannot recycle, you can't recycle pads, okay? So just throw them in the trash. So what we're gonna talk about really quickly here is, changing your pads often. Some people, they don't have a lot of money, I understand. Do the best that you can, but ideally you have a 12-hour period and you have 24 hours. So you have 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night. You want to change your pad at least. You want to go through at least 4, 5 at most, okay? That means you'll be changing every 3 hours, changing your pad, okay? Because sometimes, even if it's just a little bit, depending on how you're bleeding, if you're not changing, you're going to start to get an odor. You're going to start to smell, because blood is blood. Yes, a maxi pad, or it's not a maxi pad, a sanitary napkin, a pad does what it needs to do, but you need to change it, because the wetter it is, the more saturated it is, the wetter you're going to get. So if you're able to, ideally you want to change every 2 to 3 hours, depending on your flow. Sometimes if your flow is super light, then you may not have to do that. But if you're getting a heavy flow, you want to change, because it's going to, if it's too wet and too saturated, as much as it's good as absorbing, it may not hold all of that. So every few hours you go to the bathroom, whatever, take your pad with you and you change it out. Yes, it can be a bit uncomfortable to be changing. Everybody in the next stall know what you're doing, because they're going to hear that shh, shh. But we're all girls, so we know what's up, okay? We all do it. And you discard. Do not flush your pads down the toilet. It's going to be embarrassing that eventually it gets stuck, and then the family's trying to get it out the toilet, or the plumber comes and he's pulling up old, drenched, bloody maxi pads, or I keep saying maxi pads. So put your pads in the trash, wrap it up, okay? So it's not just sitting in there open up. You don't want to freak out your family, all right? And sometimes if you have a little bag or a little something, you can just tie it up, and then when you put it in the trash, they're not seeing this necessarily in the trash. Or if you have to, you tuck it down in the side of the trash. Or again, as I said, if you have a little bag, tiny plastic bag, you can wrap it around and put it in there, Walmart bag, however you want to do that, okay? So changing your pads is very important. It's going to keep down the moisture and eliminates and keeps you from having an odor. You also want to be taking a shower, especially when you're having a period. You don't want to be laying in that, okay? And also, when you are reaching the end of your period, it will trail, depending. Sometimes it stops immediately. A period goes for an average from anything from 3 to 5 days, maybe even 7, depending on your flow. And so as it starts to get lighter and lighter, you may not be required to change as much, but sometimes the last parts of always remember this, blood is blood, and blood is just going to have an odor. So even if you just once you're reaching the end of your cycle, even if you're having a little trail, after a while, as that trail, the little bit of blood gets to be a little bit more, you want to still just change, okay? Because sometimes that bit of blood can sit there, and if you're sitting in it for hours, it can begin to smell, okay? And then as it trails and trails, you can probably go to now putting on panty liners, which are thinner, that can still absorb it, okay? But you want to be safe and just keep that pad, because sometimes it could be thinning out and then suddenly it's heavier again. So just let your body run its course. So guys, if you have any specific questions about what I've asked you today, please feel free to reach out to me. You can ask me questions in the thread, or you can shoot me an email, hit my about link in my page, and you'll see my email there, trifina39@gmail.com, and we can talk a bit more about this. I hope this helps someone. I know to some you may be like, duh, everybody knows that, but actually not everybody knows that. So that's what Big Sister is all about. It is not to insult the intelligence of anyone, but not assuming everybody knows things, because a lot of people, they don't know stuff, but they're so embarrassed because they feel like they should know and they're not asking. So this is the basics. With tampons, again, I did not do a class on that because I don't necessarily use it. I think for young teenage girls, you should be virgins. So having a tampon is going to do nothing but break your hymen. And if you're not a virgin, even if you're using a tampon, I find young girls can be so busy and doing different things that they leave it in longer than they should, and then they're at a risk of toxic shock, a risk of forgetting that it's there, because it can happen. Even though the tampon has a little string, as you're walking around, sometimes the string ends up getting tucked away and you just don't see it, and so you forget it's there. Okay, and then by the time you remember, it's been in there too long, and you can get sick and you can die from toxic shock from pads. So I don't necessarily do anything on that, but they have plenty of YouTube videos that will probably show you how you insert a tampon, okay? You're just not gonna get that here. So guys, thank you for watching, and you guys have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and to subscribe, and you can hit the notification bell, guys, so you know every time I upload some new material. All right, guys, bye.